People don't understand high level concepts. I do have a question though. We have like different challenges here in Alberta, and they just did a primary with the Alberta Leadership Party. What are your thoughts on that, and how we can use that to get higher visibility for some of our candidates out here?
I understand Halifax is coming out with a proposal for that. I don't want to say anything definitive until I see the proposal. I am somewhat skeptical, I must admit, because I'm trying to, one of my real objectives as national president is to rebuild the value of membership. I could see that if anyone can vote for, that voting for the party leader is one of the real values of being a member. $10 isn't a big obstacle. My other reservation is a little more practical, and that is, if we adopted that, we'd be the only party to be operating under a primary system. I've already seen in my part of the country numerous examples where even under our current rules that make it fairly easy to be an instant liberal for a nomination contest, that the winning candidate in a contested nomination was often the least electable, and in many of those cases, a surprising number of the new liberals that they signed up were known conservatives. If in an open leadership contest where any citizen could vote for our leader, I think we'd be dreaming in Technicolor if we didn't think that the Conservatives would mobilize their base to vote for the least electable candidate. I've seen a lot worse dirty tricks from them, and they wouldn't let that one pass. So, who's next here?
Yes. Okay, so a small comment and a question. Ron, you mentioned that there is the possibility of not a takeover, but a sabotage through the Alberta Liberal Party sort of supporter system. We actually almost had that this round. We got one chap by the name of Bill Hartling, who was endorsed by the PGIB. This name should sound familiar. His campaign manager was Craig Chandler from Progressive Conservative Hall of Fame. They only ended up with 7% of the vote. So they tried, and they failed completely. But yeah, just one comment. So
okay, but I think the Harper Conservative movement is better
Chandler's kind of
organized.
isolated himself from the Conservatives, so he doesn't really have a following anymore, so that's kind of why.
But your question?
yeah, my question is with regards to restructuring of the party, and particularly the communication between members and organizations out in Alberta versus the ones in Ottawa. About a year and a half, I want to say a year and a half ago, there was a proposed plan that was sent down the chutes down to the PTA. It asked that it said that would keep the same amount of funding for organization, peel away some of the things that was in the PTA, and start to create some local organizers. So peel away some of the midriff and get some stuff on right by the ground grassroots. Thing is though, is that Ottawa kind of forgot that we shut down our Calgary office to sort of get a handle on funds and whatnot during that time. And they kind of forgot about that when we were trying to get everything reorganized and reset up. So one of the problems I had with the plan was that we'd get the same amount of funding, but that was like way below years prior because we really like to get that Calgary office back into place. So there seems to be a listening disconnect between Ottawa, listening to some of the issues coming out from Alberta on the specific issue of restructuring the party. So what particular thing would you suggest to actually change the process of actual listening to what sort of the restructuring process.
That's a very variation of the question that I get a lot, and that's what's my view of changing the party structure? Should we do away with the PTAs and have everything out of Ottawa like the Conservatives do? Or should we keep the PTAs or change them in some ways? Just over the three provinces I've been through so far, I've been getting reviews on their PTAs from the ridings I've been talking to, and so, of the three, LPCA gets the strongest, the strongest, most consistent endorsement in terms of value delivered. I'm trying to meet with each of the PTAs as I go through as well, so I'll be trying to meet with LPCA on my return leg, which is going to go up through further north through Edmonton. I don't think that this party can be, that Ottawa easily gets out of touch with reality on the ground. It's just too distant. There's going to have to be some readjustments because there's not as much money to spend around. It's going to get worse when the Conservatives chop the elections candidate, per vote subsidy. I would like to. I would like to repurpose the PTAs, I think, in the direction that Alberta has already gone, and that is the primary role of the PTA shouldn't be administration. The primary role of the PTA should be assisting ridings in creating winning conditions, and that's why. That's where that money should be going. And that's, in Ontario, our PTA speaks very proudly of having more paid field workers than any other province by far. But as a riding president, talking to my peers, no one has any recollection of those field workers ever coming to actually assist in creating winning conditions and building up the riding association. They're all based, despite the huge size of the province, they're all based in Toronto. And they all do it, and they all are sort of the PTAs, the executive directors, and to sort of control the PTA, to control the ridings, to make sure that the Constitution is connected and blah blah blah. So there's a big waste of resources there. We need to focus on the real job, which is building up. To the extent that how that works in each province depends on the size of the province, the nature of the ridings in the province. You need people at the regional level, which within a province, whether they're full-time paid staff, field workers, or whether they're a cadre of volunteers that's been recruited for that purpose, with coordination from the PTA. I don't have all of the answers, but those are the kinds of directions that I would like to explore. Okay.
The Conservatives are known for campaigning 365 days a year. And I'm wondering where you stand with respect to identifying a campaign manager for the next election, or even the next potential by-election, whenever that might be. I think the Liberal Party needs to really get on board with this right now. I'm wondering your position in respect to your helping to identify that person, working with that person, either now as a candidate or when you become the president. Because I think the Conservatives are going to make enough enemies between now and Christmas. There'll be a lot of people walking away from the party. And I think the Liberals and other opposition parties need to be in a position to capitalize on this. Two examples, just the post office strike in June alienated some people. That could be in itself, people there could lead to the loss of a couple of Conservative seats if we add up all the people that alienated their right. On the way up here, listening to the interview on the CBC about the wheat board, right? The guy's gonna push ahead to eliminate wheat board, regardless of the fact that 61% of the farmers voted that they want to keep it. Well, where's the democracy in that? And how many farmers are they gonna lose? How many farmers voted for conservatives, thinking, well, they won't really act on that, but they're acting on it because they're a party by ideologues. Where do you stand on being active in terms of capitalizing on this, helping, assisting with the process of having people work with these things and come up with messages that will capitalize and capture all these potential new voters that are going to be hopefully moving the Conservative Party? And one other sort of thing on that. Some people have talked about, oh, we should ally with the NDP, we should become one of the NDP. Other ones say, absolutely not. Is there not room for something in between there where you say, okay, we know that the NDP is probably going to win a certain line because they've got a really strong candidate and he's a really good candidate. It makes no sense to throw a lot of money into a campaign where you're more than likely not going to win. So the strategy is backing off and letting them win in the ridings where they have a reasonable chance. And in turn, redirecting your energy towards those where the NDP candidate or the Green or whoever is relatively weak. In other words, use your strengths strategically, right?
Yeah. I'll answer those in reverse order. But I agree with you. As I said earlier, I'm not a proponent of merger talks at this point while we're at our weakest. I believe that was an anomaly and we'll be going up again. So I don't want the party to disappear. But I have actually made that same argument in the past of temporary, short-term, one election electoral agreements with other parties for the common objective of defeating conservatives. And that's risky because the conservatives would demonize that terribly. But I certainly wouldn't rule out exploring it because I'm a Canadian first and a Liberal second. I think Canada needs to defeat the Conservatives. Canada is the longer the Conservatives are in power, the worse shape our country is going to be. So we need some creative ideas like that. Stepping back a bit, issues. One of the reasons we were able to win in Kingston and the Islands is because we took just the tack that you're taking. We started building up our election readiness team early, 2 years before the bid was dropped. Though because we didn't know who our candidate was going to be, the nomination contest had to wait. Peter Milliken's, there were political considerations with Peter as Speaker of the House that didn't allow him to announce his retirement until quite late. So we couldn't appoint the campaign manager because traditionally the campaign manager, the candidate has the final say on who their campaign manager is. But we laid the groundwork for that. One of the most important things we did to actually win is that we focused on outreach into the community, and there are different kinds of outreach, but the one that was most successful, the kind that was most successful for it was just what you're saying, identifying issues that really matter to local voters, and getting behind, identifying who's upset, who's protesting, who's leading the opposition to whatever conservative policy it is, and getting behind them. And not just getting behind them locally. In Kingston, it was the closure of the prison farms. That was the issue that really worked for us because the community, there was a group, well, we're an urban riding, there was a group, we have a small farming crescent on the edges of our riding, and a group of farmers started were upset at the conservative dismissal of non-union farming, started a Save Our Prison Farm movement. In my pamphlet, there's a picture of me with the Save Our Prison, with one of their t-shirts on, with Paul Beret and our candidate. But we got behind them. And most important, we made ourselves a conduit to Parliament for that issue, because it was a federal issue. So we got Wayne Easter down and Mark Holland down. We get them to invite the leaders of the movement up to testify to parliamentary committees and so on. And we got a policy out of the party that a commitment to restore the prison farms when the next Liberal government would. It goes on. I found myself the temporary owner of 2 milking Holsteins as part of that exercise, but it doesn't really well. It's a long story. You don't want to hear it. But we made ourselves relevant to a segment of the community that had a reason to dislike what the Conservatives were doing, and help build that movement. So I see the weed board as a prime issue that Liberals can get behind, because it's not a matter of exploiting an issue. Right? It's a matter of identifying an issue that resonates with Liberal values and that Liberals can make a difference on. And I can guarantee that had we not gotten behind that movement and done what we've done, Kingston would have sent a Conservative to Ottawa. The Conservative candidate who had narrowly defeated Peter Milliken at the previous election, who we targeted, our strategy together. He wore that. We made sure that he wore that issue. He actually resigned before the election. He decided not to stand because he saw he was going to lose. So you can make a difference locally by getting behind issues. So your point is really right. Now, who else had their hand up?
I should probably go after whoever else had a question.
Anybody else first?
I'm not pessimistic about the world of humor, because we do have our main Liberal anyway, the 3 most populous provinces in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
How would you bring the provincials and those guys on board?
Bring them on board in what sense?
Well, we got 3 Liberal governments in the most populous provinces. There's got to be some help there. How would you get some help from those guys?
I would try to institutionalize that more nationally. It hasn't been done nationally for a long time. At the local riding level, way down to, I'm out here now, but my whole riding apparatus is working for the provincial campaign to get them, to get our provincial member re-elected. We had huge help from them in March and April for the election. So it works on the local level, but there's a lot more coordination that could be done. The Conservatives, I've heard repeatedly in ridings in Manitoba and Saskatchewan that were potentially winnable, how Conservatives, provincial and federal, from all over, from safe ridings would be bussed in to where there was where they didn't have to campaign. They brought their campaigners to the riding that was that they had a chance of losing. We could do the same, but we haven't up to now.
This is actually for introduction to my question. The Alberta Liberal Party, I think last year or year before that, passed a motion for cooperation with other parties during election time in preparation for elections. Problem is, they never specifically said only in provincial elections. So federally, what do you think of the chances of federal Liberals taking them up on their open offer for electoral cooperation?
I would certainly be promoting that. It's not the party president isn't a dictator, right? He's the chair of the national board. The leader has a strong say. When I actually proposed something like that at at the last Council of Presidents meeting in Windsor. Now it's almost 2 years ago, which is another problem. And in the sort of, they call it the leader's availability, the session in which the leader answered questions, Mr. Ignatia said he understood where he was coming from, but he flatly rejected the idea. So there was no traction at the time. I suspect Bob Ray would be more into it. Going once? Going twice? Thank you very much. If any of you want to ask any questions privately as opposed to the whole group, I'll be around for a little
I
while.
just have a simple question. I know the president has to be kind of legal in one sense, so you can't get endorsements from important people in the party. Is that allowed or not?
Yes, it is allowed. I've got endorsement from my own MP. I've got an endorsement from Peter Milliken. Most caucus members are reluctant to endorse a particular candidate because of the.
Well, the reason I ask because Sheila Copps is now entering the contest. She's likely to engender a variety of endorsements from with people way back who were like her or something like that, knew her, and were involved with.
Yeah, but I understand Sheila will be a formidable opponent. That's, but there's a lot of people who, like me, believe that the next president shouldn't be from caucus. That the president should be representing the membership at large and come up through the volunteer wing of the party as opposed to the caucus. Delegates at the convention will have the final say.
So we need an anti-establishment president.
Well,
and
it's more than anti-establishment. I think we need a low-profile president. I mean, God, I said it earlier, I don't know who did, I can't name a single individual that I thought did more damage than Al Patrick in the last campaign.
It's, I also think you need somebody who listens.
Maybe Scott.
I try to listen more than I talk, even though I did a little bit of talking earlier, and I act on what I hear, and that's been the piece that's been missing. If somebody at this meeting has a better idea on something than I do, I'll adopt it. As Suzanne can tell you, I like criticism. I know personally.
What's your campaign budget? Not much money to take. I mean, you're doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah, and I'm staying at low budget hotels along the way. A lot of, I gratefully accept. We gratefully accept offers to spend the night when we're speaking at when we're either going to be, staying the night after an evening meeting, or going to the next place to be there for a morning meeting. So I'm keeping it at low budget. So it's small contributions that are helping to fund the campaign. What I'm not doing is flying across the country. I don't have I don't have any big, I don't have a law firm behind me and that sort of thing. It's small donations. So you can travel across the country in a Honda fairly inexpensively.
So you've been listening, you've been watching, and you've been paying attention to a lot of the rural, particularly I'm betting really well in rural Alberta. What are some of the things that the Alberta locals, federal locals are doing right in Alberta?
I think LPCA is doing some good things. I've heard some really praises being sung of the assistance that small rural islands have been getting from LPCA that they couldn't operate without elsewhere. That I haven't heard elsewhere. Ridings that don't have a financial agent you know, they serve as the financial aid. It was very, there were a lot of expressions of appreciation out there. There wasn't a sense that the National Party had been doing much for them. In fact, I can't recall, other than a few expressions of appreciation for Bob Ray coming out recently. But in most of the ridings I visited, in practically all of the rural ridings I visited, I'm told that I'm the first person from outside who's actually bought out to talk to them. You know, they get people from RPCA, but from the Central Party, no. So, yeah, that has to change.
Can I add to one of the things that has really struck us is a lot of people have said it's really tough being a Liberal here in Alberta, but we've been really struck by the resilience and the creativity. Also, we had one group that we met in Medicine Hat, and it was great. When we left, we had a really great discussion with them, and when we left, there was a 96-year-old woman who had this brilliant idea, and there was a 24-year-old communications radio guy that was at the same meeting, and the two of them are going to be collaborating together, working on a particular local project that is a really good project that is going to help them. They feel will help them locally, and they're going to send it on to Ron afterwards, thinking it's something the National Party could use. So we've been really struck by the creativity and the resilience, and we're not down yet.
It
Not
doesn't-
down and out yet.
It doesn't take much. One of the rural ridings in Manitoba, because of the geography, in some cases, neighboring rural ridings can get together more easily than distant areas of their own riding. We had a meeting in which there were representatives from about 4 ridings present, one of whom had driven for 3 hours, and for the meeting was faced with another 3-hour drive to get home. And they decided sort of my coming had stimulated this discussion. So even before I arrived, they made a decision that they were going to form a sort of rural issues working group between those ridings. So it doesn't take much in some cases to get people to start, thinking in different ways.
We talked about in this meeting, like how are you gonna make Alberta feel more included in the Liberal Party? But looking at the bigger picture, how are you gonna ensure that every region of this country feels included in the Liberal Party? Because Alberta is one case, but Quebec's another case, and so is it in Canada. So how are we gonna make sure that no other regions feel alienated? Because I see the Liberal Party traditionally as being the party that everyone can kind of, like the Big Ten party, that everyone can kind of feel at home in. But I feel, recently regionalism has kind of gotten the better of us. So how are we going to get over that on the national level?
The same thing I said here, that policies, I use the gun registry as an example here, and actually that one applies to rural regions of much of the country as well. But when we come up with a national policy, we've got to test it in each region.
Yeah.
And where it's going to, where it's going to be really damaging in a region, well, we're going to change it.
Yeah.
Right? Just don't go ahead and say, oh well, the majority of ridings believe, say this is good, so the majority rules.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
So if one region, let's say Quebec doesn't like a certain policy, would you take that back, fix it, and test in all the regions again to make sure that until we get kind of unanimous? Okay.
Yeah, and I'd like to see an ongoing policy process where policies are not written in stone, but they're updated.
Yeah.
So it's not just you have one crack, and at this, and if it passes the convention, it's written, in stone, and you don't get another crack at changing it for 2 years.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because
It should be more organic than that.
Yeah, because I see splits starting happening with the NDP and their leadership race between party faction in Quebec and the rest of the country, and same with conservatives with the East versus the West. So I think it's important for us once we rebuild that we can maintain kind of unity among the party, not alienating specific regions.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Well, thank you everyone for coming tonight to listen to Ron, and like I mentioned before, he does have more information available, and we'll keep in touch with you as you like, and he will be around for the next little bit if you have some questions for him, and thanks again all for coming, and Oktoberfest is coming in about 3 weeks, so get ready to eat lots of sausages, and the information will be coming out soon as to where the event's going to be held. Okay? Thanks, guys.
And thank you for all the ideas. You weren't